Hi everyone, it's Bo21 and today I'm going to teach you how to set up camo tables for your custom weapon ports on Call of Duty Black Ops 3. A lot of people have difficulty with this and have been asking me to do tutorials on it for a long time, but I've put it off because it's such a hard thing to explain. So please bear with me, I'm going to do the best job that I can. If you have any further questions, I'm going to try and put a full written tutorial on Modme's wiki, and I'll post the link in the description. I've also created a template that should make doing this much easier. To begin with, I'm going to start by covering the basics. Now, the first thing you'll need to understand is camo masks. Now, camo masks will not always be applicable. If you're porting a gun from something like Black Ops 2 or something like that, they didn't use camo masks back then. What they did for camos was they would only replace certain materials on the weapon with the camo. It would usually be, there would be 4 different materials on a weapon, or something like that. And they would replace only 2 of these materials with the camo that they wanted. Or in certain cases, like Origins for example, they would have 2 camos for Origins. They would have the blue crystal that would replace 2 of the materials, and they would have a metallic diesel punk kind of texture that would replace the other 2 materials. Now, in that case it's much easier. It's just a simple case of typing in the materials and which material you want it to override with. Camo masks, on the other hand, are these right here. They are usually _R and they will be black and white images. And when you put them into Ape and you set them up properly, which is reveal map compressed texture, they will go red and black like I just showed then. Now once you've done these, in your material for your weapon, if you come down to here, if you set it up correctly, you will have it as a lit weapon material, and you'll have all of your things set up as normal. This is all correct, but down at the bottom you have this Camo Mask Map. This is where you will set this new material. Not all textures on the gun will actually have this material, so in this case we're going to use the M16 from Black Ops 3 as an example. See, barrel doesn't have one. Barrel, they did not apply any camo to. It always remains the same. Barrel base, on the other hand, does, but no, it doesn't in fact. M16 base, there we go. This one does have a camo mask map. That is how you can tell very easily on weapons like Black Ops 3 guns which materials you're supposed to override. In Black Ops 2's case, you would need to work it out by eye. The only way to do that really would be to, I suppose, go in game and look at what materials they were overrid. Or if you go to the model, let me scroll down a one. There we go to the model. Just for while you're working in Ape, or just while you're working it out, you can override a material just by typing one in there. And then if you look in the preview, that material will be overridden with the one you have just typed in. Make sure you turn this back when you are done. You do not want to leave overrides on there, and using multiple models to set up one gun's camo is the absolute worst way to do it, and a massive waste of memory, especially if you are working with HD models, because they are huge. It will eat away. So just to recap, you would set up your material as normal as a lit weapon, and then down here on the camo mask map you will set your mask map, and this will use these settings: reveal map, compressed, texture. I don't think anything else really matters for this. It's a very basic functionality. The white parts of the image will be replaced with the camo, the black parts of the image will remain the regular texture beneath it. Now, I have created a template to make this easier for you to do, and I will put the links to this in the description, and I'll put it on the Modme page as well. Now this is an example of a camo table. You have however many camos are in the table in this value here, and the base index of the table here. So this is the 5th table. This is one that I've made so that you can add your custom tables. Stock camos in the game are ranging from 1 to 135, so for the additional table I have started it from 136, and as you can see, the first camo in the list is camo type 136. That means if you were to set your camo table index in your GSC to table 136, it will use everything from this to apply the camo to your gun. So as you see here, I have both my GDT for my weapon open and my GDT that I created for the template open at the same time. You do this simply by putting a comma between the two GDT names down here, and both of them will display. This makes it much easier to look around at what you're doing. Now the first thing we're going to work on is this one, ship. This is the original camos that came with the game, and this file is absolutely massive. This is why it takes so long to do this particular one. There are certain people in the community who shall remain nameless who are really difficult when it comes to things like this, because it's not click your fingers and it's instantly done, so they don't like to do it. But if you can't be asked to do it, then don't expect to have decent weapon ports, except that you're going to do subpar work, and that's just how it is. So we're going to begin by selecting this. Now, like I said, it's a huge file, so it takes ages to open, and every time you change anything in it, it updates the entire list. So it takes absolutely ages. Just bear with me. I'll try to cut as much of this out of the video as I can. So this starts at index 1. This is the first set of camos, and it has 75 entries in it. Again, this is why it takes so long, because it has 75 different entries. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this into our GDT. So right click copy, right click your other GDT, paste asset. And then we're going to change this to a more suitable name. Obviously you don't want to call every single one template, it won't even allow you to do that. So I tend to keep my weapon name, so it's AR M16. And when it's done copying, which like I said, it takes a very long time because it's such a big file. Okay, it's done copying. Now the next thing that we want to do is set how many materials we want to override with a camo. Remember I told you that you can work out which ones actually need to be done by which ones actually have a camo mask. Otherwise you would just pick whatever you think is appropriate. In this example, I mean, I think it's 5. We'll just double check. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's going to be 5 base materials. Select that. Now you'll notice nothing has changed. Now if we press Ctrl and S and wait the duration again, and as you see, it is now expanded. We have 5 sets of materials right here. The first thing we want to do is grab our first material that we want to use. So that is going to be, in this case, where's our first one? I'm just going to type this in because otherwise it'll take absolutely forever. I'll show you the proper ways. Here we go. It's this material here. Let's go over to it. And you can just double click up here and copy the name. Control C, copy. And go back to our camo again and wait the duration again. And here we are, we're back. And then go to base material, paste that name, and there's our material. As soon as you press enter, it will now update. So again, this takes some time. Okay, that is completed. So that is all you would need to do for a Black Ops 2 gun, because it doesn't use camo masks. This is a Black Ops 3 gun, so it does use camo masks. So what we need to do now is go and find that camo mask texture again. Easiest way to do this is again to go to the material, scroll down to the bottom, and copy paste the name. Now this time you're selecting an image. You're not selecting a material, you're selecting the image. Go back to our camo table. And we're back, and then we will go to the camo mask field and we will paste the name in there and press enter. Again, we need to wait the duration. Once done correctly, it will appear like this. So the material is there and the camo mask is there. Now we've got 4 more to do, and I'm not going to bore you with watching every single one, so I'm just going to pause the video for a minute while I type them all in. Here we go, they are now all completed. As you can see here, there are 5 camos listed. Each one has a base material and a camo mask image listed in them. Again, if you were doing a Black Ops 2 gun or something before that time, then you wouldn't have the camo mask. It just means this entire material will be overridden instead of just the white parts from this image. Now this took maybe 5 minutes to get all of these to go in. This is because there's 5 materials, that's quite a lot, and obviously it's a very big file, like I said already, 75 entries in this file. This has only done the first entry. See, camo type 2, camo type 3, all of these others are still empty. Now don't be put off at this point. You do not need to do this for every single one. If you scroll down to the second entry, you will see these 3 buttons. Now all you need to do is click copy from first. Again, this will take a moment because it is such a large file. As you see, it's now filled out all of the entries in that one, but the rest still are not completed. Now don't worry, you don't need to do this over and over again. Now just click copy to all next. Okay, now that's finished. So that's taken maybe 8-9 minutes to all those people that complain about it taking too long. Now if you scroll down, you will see that every single entry now has been filled in. Every single one is completed. This table is now done. You don't need to do anything else with this one. However, this is only the first 75 camos in the game, and there are 135, so we are not completely done. Now, at this point, when the game first came out, this would have been all you needed, but they have made more tables, and there is a limit. You can only have, I think 75 is the maximum you can have in a table. So they have made this. This is a weapon camo, and this asset right here, if you look at this one, it is a weapon camo table, I believe. Weapon camo table, and in here you list each table you want to add to this. So now that will be 0 to 75, that will be 76 to 121, that'll be 121 to 128, and this will be 128 to 135, and this will be anything after that that you choose. So before we go on to more detail on this, we're going to come back to this. The next one we're going to need to do is the first set of DLC camos that were created. This file is nowhere near as big as the first one, but it is still quite large, so it still does take a moment. We click onto this now, you'll see here it starts at 76. That is because the last table was 0 to 75, so this one starts at 76. And there are 45 camos in this table, so 30 less than the other one. Do the same as before, right click, copy, go to your GDT, right click, paste, change the name to whatever it is you want, which I went with this. It's okay, it takes just a minute to copy the file, again because it's quite large. Don't worry, every other one after this is much quicker. They are very small. I think the most you'll see in the others is 8 camos at a time. So here we go, this one is done. Now again, we need to do the same thing again. So it was 5 base materials, press enter, and then we will set our materials up. So we had base, shouldn't take as long, but let's see how long this one does actually take. That's what, 5 Mississippis? Anyway, next one, Hangar Bays. If you're curious how I'm copying the names so easily, it's because I have them on a notepad on my other screen. It's quite a good idea to set that up so you don't have to keep messing around clicking on and off assets, because it does take so long to keep clicking on and off of them. Should just take us a minute. Okay, so that's 3, 4th one. This won't take too much longer, we're nearly there. 5th one. And the image. If you want to make your own camo masks, of course you can do that. It's just a black and white image. Make any part of the image you don't want the camo to apply to black, and make anywhere you do want the camo to apply to white, and it will work. Just make sure you have set this image both in the camo table and on the material itself, otherwise it will not work. You'll find pretty much any gun. I think it started at Black Ops 3. It may be whatever game came before this was the first time they really started using these. And the reason they've done this is because it adds much finer detail without having to separate the model into so many meshes, because it becomes unmanageable, especially with such fine detail in some places they use. And there we go, that should be the final image. And there we go, this one's done. So now we scroll down to entry 77, that's correct, copy from first. Patient for a moment. That was done. Copy to all next. Be patient for a moment. And again, they are all filled out now. Now you'll see just how much quicker every other table is now. Let's move on to the next one. So we've done ship, which ship of course because it was the ship version of the game, and then DLC 1, which is actually DLC 1, 2 and 3. And then the next table, this is the one that we did not have before. I've discovered today, or actually bothered to set up today the table for this. See how much quicker that loaded? So again, copy, paste asset, change the name, ARM16, enter, boom, done, nice and quick. It's 5 materials. Set up our first material, second material, third material, fourth material. Ooh, it's raining outside. I do love listening to the rain. Fifth material, first image, second image, third image, fourth image, fifth image, copy from first, copy to all next. That table is done as well. As you can see, that was much quicker. So now this is the final table needed for the stock camos. We're going to do the other table that I created as well, just so I can show you how to apply custom camos to these as well. So this would be ARM16. Now this is all of the Zombie Chronicles and the final camos that were added to the game in the final title updates or whatever. So it's exactly the same again. Any of your materials. Now remember, the top one is a material, the camo mask is an image. A lot of people get confused there. They think it's a material in both, or they think it's an image in both. It's not. It's a material on the first one and an image on the second one. So we're nearly done. Scroll down, copy from first, copy to all next. And there we go, you're pretty much done at this stage. Now I'm going to quickly just go over something, but I'll go into more detail on this on a later video. If we scroll down to, I think it's 132, 133, yeah, 100 and... is it this one? No. This is a really nice camo, by the way, this one right here. Index 135. It's one that most people haven't bothered unlocking because it's so hard to get, apparently. But this one is the Origins camo. Now, the Origins camo is actually a two-part camo. It has an alt camo as well as the regular camo. Now, this is the blue crystal, and this is the diesel punk metal. Now, I can't see that they actually bothered setting this up on any of the regular stock guns. They clearly did set it up on things like the MG08 and things like that. You can tell if you look in-game. Parts of the gun are metal, and the other parts are blue crystal. Now, to set this up, it's the same thing again. You would just come down to material 2. You would set your base materials and you do exactly the same as you did above, and then it would replace it with this material instead of this material. Now the one thing I don't understand about this is how the camo mask works in reverse. I haven't been able to work out how to get it to work. I mean, I guess you could just copy paste that image and invert it and do it that way, but I'm sure there must be an actual way of doing it. So when I either bother looking into that or can be asked to find a different way of doing it, I'll post an update to that. But for now, that's, if you wanted to do a two-tone camo, that's how you would do it. It's much easier on things like Black Ops 2 guns, because there'll be like 4 materials. 2 of them will be the blue crystal and 2 of them will be the metal. Of course, that would be much easier. Anyway, that's created. Now we're going to copy the custom one that I've created. Now, at the moment, this only has 1 camo in it, and there's nothing set there, because I've just left it blank for you to put your own camos in. It starts off at 136, so in your index in your GSC, oops, wrong button. In your index in your GSC, right here, you would do 136, and then that would be using this entry here. Anyway, again, we want to do the same thing, so it's 5 entries. First one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, camo mask image, second camo mask image, third camo mask image, fourth camo mask image, fifth camo mask image. We don't need to copy this one because there's actually only one entry. That's done. That's everything you need to do for that. All of the camos are set up. If you wanted to just use the ship camos, you could just set this on your weapon and they would all work, but obviously we don't want that. We want all 135 camos to work, especially with the amount of time that I have spent doing this. And shit, I just filled out the wrong one. Let's do that again. Oh, there we go. Copy paste this back again. You could call this table whatever you want, but I believe that end needs to be there, base 136. If that number doesn't match up, it gives you an error in launcher. I didn't think the name would matter, but apparently it does. Treyarch do things in some very strange ways. You will find me and Red Space discuss this at length. First one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, image, image, image. There we go, problem solved. Now, if you wanted to make it so you were modding a stock map, for example, say Origins, and you wanted to use your own custom camo, I believe you could do it by overriding this asset for the gun. I think all we would need to do is set all of these entries the same as they are now, which is likely gonna follow this naming convention, I would expect. I'm not sure if they have put something else instead of this. I mean, I came up with this name based on how they named the one before. These were the only two they actually gave us in the tools as an example. I would imagine these are the right names for the other two tables. I can't be sure, but I would imagine they are. So I think if you were to create this asset, put the proper names in these four, and then add a fifth one and add your table, and then add that to your zone file to override theirs in a mod, and then set your index to 136, I believe you could use custom camos on the stock weapons, although I do think you might need to port, say, the materials or the reveal maps. I'm not sure. You would have to. I'll do a video on that one. I've looked into it, but I'm not doing it right now. People wanted this tutorial and I've already put this off long enough. Anyway, so copy this, paste the asset again, and again we're going to change the name, M16, and then we just want to change all of these references to the tables that we just created. They're still pointing at the ones in the template. Just do the exact same thing again. It's just this easy. This is not complicated at all to do. It did take me a short while to work out how to do it. I've got to admit, it was very confusing the first time I did it, but after you've done it once, it's really, really simple. Anyway, that's done now. Your entire table is set up to actually use this table now. All you need to do is copy the name for this. Go to your weapon. And if you scroll down to just here, which is just above the X anims, it's got weapon camo. Type that name in, press enter. Now it's gonna say this is an invalid asset type. It's not, this works. I believe the reason is because when the game shipped, it would have had this, and that was the only table. And obviously there was not support to add further camos, so they've added support to use the table that links the other tables. But they obviously didn't update Ape to accept this as a weapon, as an asset type, sorry. So it will give an error, but that is correct. That is how it should be. So that's now set up, but that's set up on the base weapon. You'd want that so camos would work. Like, you know, you in create a class or whatever, you can set camos on your guns anyway. That would be to make those work. Obviously, we want the upgrade ones to work for the pack-a-punch. So you'd also need to set the same thing on the upgraded version of the gun. And there we go. just save your GDT. That is now complete. Everything about that is done. You don't need to do anything else now. So we're going to close 8. We're going to come back over here. I'm going to go to my zone. And as our example, we're going to use the very pretty camo that is Origins. Which, what did we say that was? Come down here somewhere. Origins is 133. Set that index. This may take a minute to actually load. Alright, more than sure that you won't be able to hear me. This is going to take a minute to build because this is my test map. It's got everything in it. Here we go, it's done building, so I'm going to run the game now. Here we go, the game is done running now, so we're going to run over and turn the power on quickly. Take my little shortcut. Ah, okay. Oh, don't do it. Oh. Okay, that obviously wasn't going to happen. Excuse me. The M16 is the gun that we set this up on, so let's go grab that. Now, if all worked correctly, when I pack a bunch of this, it should come back out with the Origins camo on it. Boom. There we go. Completely works. And just to show you that this is the same one that's used on the stock guns. We'll pack a bunch of that. There you go. All set up. As you can see, they don't have the alternate camo on these guns for some reason. It seems to only be on the HD zombie guns. It's very, very strange why they did that. In any case, there you go. This is how you set up all the camos on your custom guns so that they will work alongside the stock guns 100%. You can use every single camo in the game now this way. Every single one. So, I hope this helps. If you have any further questions, you can contact me on Modme or on Discord or several other places. And as for the written tutorial, I'm going to put that on the Modme wiki. As soon as that's done, I will update the links in the description to add that in there. Also, one of the scripts that I wrote just ran and it changed the camo, so this should change to another one now. There we go, we have the Cherry Fizz camo now. And then if we wait a short while longer, should change again and show you the camo that I had so very much difficulty getting a name for. The camo is called Empire, but for some reason the material name for this camo is called Bubbles. So it took me a very long time and I had to get Porter's help to get it. There we go. It's a very nice camo, I think. It looks very cool. And there you go. That's how you use all of the camos in the game. I hope this helps. Like and subscribe if you want to see more tutorials in the future or any of my future content. And this is my test map. Everything that I'm working on. As you can see, I'm working on the boxes right now. Trying to get that all done. So yeah, peace.